Coming up today in episode 64 of the Leipzig Loko, we take on Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, looking back at our win over those guys last season in the DFB Pokal with one in the league. But before then, for the first time, we take on the team we are trying to usurp, RB Leipzig, in the second round of the Cup. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 64 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we take on RB Leipzig in a derby in the second round of the DFB Pokal, and only a few days off the back of that we travel to take on Bayern Munich. Can we back up our upset win in that second round of the DFB Pokal last season with one in our first Bundesliga match against them? So if you're looking forward to those two games coming up in today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But we've played a few Bundesliga games off the back of yesterday's episode. It was off the back of transfer deadline day. We did take on Hertha Berlin as well as Wolfsburg. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Our form since then, it's been very, very predictable in terms of our results so far this season. In the Bundesliga, we've played a couple more games off the back of that, 4 games. And as you can see, the pattern is starting to develop, especially in terms of our league form. Off the back of that loss to Wolfsburg, we picked up a draw against Gladbach, 0-0 that game. Wasn't up to much, but away from home it wasn't a terrible result. Then we went home and took on a team below us on the table in Mainz, these days managed by Mario Götze. Of course, he was the manager of Augsburg last season in the 2 Bundesliga. Thankfully, we just held on there to pick up a 3-2 win, so that was a good result there, picking up 3 more points in the league. Then off the back of that, as we tend to do this season, we back up a win with a loss, this one a heavy one as well, 4-1 against Bayer Leverkusen. Felt like just before halftime we got ourselves back in this game through a goal to Nicolo Amadori back from injury. He scored a good header, did our tall striker, but unfortunately right before halftime some poor defensive work did mean that Bayer Leverkusen made it 3-1, and then late on Florian Wirtz grabbed himself a brace and made it 4-1. So that result probably our worst one so far this season, especially in terms of the scoreline. Thankfully a bit better back at home when we took on a Schalke team just above us on the Bundesliga table, albeit it was a game that wasn't up to much. The best chance in this one did fall to Thibaut Clichy coming off the bench, making the most of a back pass, but unfortunately tried to chip the goalkeeper and put a little bit too much on it. But what that means is so far this season in the league, we've played 9 games for 3 wins, 3 losses and 3 draws, and those results have come exactly off the back of each other, as you can see by that form in the league on that screen there. So it does mean at the moment we have got form for a pretty solid mid-table team, albeit we are down in 12th, but we are 7 points clear of Bochum, who currently find themselves in a relegation playoff spot. So it does feel like we are certainly doing enough to stay up in the Bundesliga this season. Hopefully we can at least continue this form and maybe pick up a little bit more off the back of this Bayern Munich game, and hopefully make our way up the table a little bit more, or at least a little bit more clear of Bochum, Hamburg and Mainz in that relegation zone. Those guys already with a bit of ground to make up on those teams. But we'll have a bit more of a look at the Bundesliga off the back of our first game. In today's episode, we actually take on a team who are below us on the table, but for the first time, it is the big Leipzig derby we want in this save, as we do look to usurp and take over the mantle as the biggest club in the city. And we take on an RB Leipzig team who have struggled so far in the Bundesliga. They are down in 14th, a few points behind us. Hopefully we can pick up a result here, especially as this cup game is at home, and Ange Postecoglou probably can't be too far away from being under pressure, especially if he does lose this derby in the second round of the DFB Pokal. But based on the players they've got in their team, you'd expect this to be a game that RB Leipzig would be the favourites for. They are, but based on form so far this season, maybe we've actually got a chance of pulling off an upset here in this one, especially as based on our form we are due a win, albeit not too sure if that also applies to cup competitions as well as the league. Otherwise we'll be due a win when we take on Bayern Munich, and I'm not so sure about that. So we'll see how things go. In terms of injuries going into today's episode, we have actually suffered a few over the course of our last couple of games. Thankfully, most players are back, but currently we are missing a Kuba Salue with a groin strain. That one not too bad, being our third choice striker, but also Racine Bullock is out with a groin strain. He will miss this cup game, is only out for 1 to 3 more days, so hopefully we'll be back in time for that Bayern Munich clash, albeit that does come only a couple of days off the back of this cup one midweek, so Racine Bullock might be back for that second game of today's episode, but it does mean Miguel Chaiwa will step in to fill his starting role. But apart from that, we are at full strength going for this cup game. It might impact us in our second game of today's episode with that short backup, but hopefully we can rest our players enough and get through it, and we'll get stuck in to this first game of today's episode and hopefully pull off an upset in the second round of the DFB Pokal. Of course, last season we made our way through all the way to the quarterfinals. We'll see how things go in this one. Wahi there is playing for RB Leipzig. If you're following the ANGE challenge over on Twitch, you know he's a player for us at Montpellier, while ANGE is over at Paris Saint-Germain. So hopefully Wahi gets kept quiet, but to be fair, I think he's been so far the best player for this RB Leipzig team under Ange Postecoglou this season. And with the likes of Gvardiol as well as Nkunku as well as the likes of Nianzou and Adeyemi on the bench, it does look quite a strong team we're taking on here in our first big Leipzig derby of the save. We'll get the guys revved up for this one and hopefully they can come out here and put out a good performance at home off the back of an okay draw against Schalke, bouncing back decently from that result against Bayer Leverkusen, that 4-1 loss, which potentially could have dented our morale, but thankfully we lifted it back up off the back of that. The morale at the club these days has been quite good off the back of getting rid of Matteo Kachella, but there are the team sheets. We are going with that 4-2-3-1 as per usual, as I said before, just Chaiwa coming in for Bullock. It does also mean that the player that we did sign for Nottingham Forest a couple of episodes ago, or yesterday's episode at the start of it, does come onto the bench to be that extra midfield backup alongside our deep-lying playmaker who we also signed in that episode. There were RB Leipzig. They are going to be going in this one, if we have a look, with a 4-3-3, so that is interesting. That's a formation we usually play decently against, and we make our way into this game so far, 15 minutes in, and no highlights have happened, but so far it has been a pretty even game. Hopefully we can at least keep this one close and maybe pinch a result here, albeit at home. Our home form so far this season has been decent. And the first highlight here, about 22 minutes in, Lima with a terrible tackle. Wasn't too sure if that connected. It did. And now we play against 10 men for this game. That could be a big advantage. It did look like the RB Leipzig might get on the front foot from a throw, and Dorenzo clears it. RB Leipzig here still on the front foot. Wahi gets a shot off. Thankfully, Comedio gets in the way of that, but that is a bit disappointing off the back of RB Leipzig going down to 10 men. Hopefully we can make the most of that. Escobar clears that one at the near post. Unfortunately, Gvardiol does track back and deal with that, but at the moment we are well and truly on the back foot, a half hour and still 0-0 against the 10 men of RB Leipzig. But off the back of that red card, you'd like to think we'll get on the front foot a bit more during the rest of this game, but at the moment RB Leipzig well and truly have been on the front foot. We might demand more if we can, albeit free kick here. Stiller will look for that top left corner. I would say it's not a bad effort, but thankfully it just goes over the bar. I think we are going to demand more here because so far this has been a pretty poor performance. Luca Campanelli on an orange injury. Hopefully he can last till halftime. And finally, we get the ball here in a decent area of the pitch, albeit Espandola there did take it off one of our players. We try and pick out Krasnicki in the box. It's clear, but thankfully Chaiwa does get that ball back for us. Escobar, poor pass. Now Chaiwa bit loose on the ball, and Wahi with a chance here to get RB Leipzig back on the counter-attack. So far, really disappointing first half, albeit good work there from Krasnicki to win that ball back. We go all the way back to Ivizic in goal. He plays it to Escobar. We muck around with it a little bit, but Tom Gale eventually does find Dorenzo down that left-hand side. Now Bushawari starts to get slightly in behind. Good 1-2 there between him and Amadoli, and Benjamin Bushawari with really our first attack of the game puts that one away, and hopefully now with a 1-0 lead against 10 men we can hold on and maybe put Ange under pressure there at RB Leipzig. Dorenzo, nice ball there for Bushawari, and lovely 1-2 there between Bushawari and Amadori up front. The Moroccan slots that one away nicely into that bottom right corner, and thankfully we might make the most of that one-man advantage in the first half. Touch wood, just 2 minutes of added time, albeit there is a throw in here to RB Leipzig, but good work there. Not too sure who it was, but Bushuari did end up with the ball. It falls kind of kindly there to Cueto. He links up with Krasnicki, and now Campanelli on that orange injury is on the ball, plays that one back to Chaiwa, and it goes all the way back to Cometiona Escobar. Chaiwa over the top. Unfortunately, it falls to Tinas, and he puts it up to Wahi, and it is RB Leipzig here who look to get on the attack. They play that one back to Stanisic, and they do keep the ball here deep inside injury time. Wahi does get in behind, puts it away, but thankfully he was offside. That was a long highlight. Just realised that RB Leipzig have another one of my Montpellier players in their squad there in goal in Arnau Tinas, but thankfully, despite the fact we've been well and truly on the back foot so far in this first half, that red card has proven a little bit decisive, and we go into the sheds with a 1-0 lead, albeit not really playing that well. Hopefully get on the front foot a little bit more during the course of the second half. I think we're going to play things safe here, take off Campanelli while we have the chance for Florian Haxa. But apart from that, the rest of the players out there are doing a decent job, and hopefully we can make the most of this one-man advantage. Just having a quick look here at the formation of RB Leipzig, it does mean they are playing without a right winger, so I don't think it's going to impact them too much in terms of their defence, but maybe they'll focus a little bit more down the left-hand side in terms of attack. We'll tell the guys they're going well, keep on pushing, as they are down to 10 minutes. We'll get the second half underway with that 1-0 lead, which hopefully we can hang on to. Of course, we might need to keep an eye on player fitness during the course of the second half, especially with that Bayern Munich game coming up. Obviously, we would like to pick up points in the league, albeit that might be a little bit far-fetched in a game like that, so maybe we should focus more on the situation in the cup. Vardiol has the ball here on the edge of the box. Haxa nearly blocks that, goes back in for Ali Wahi. It's a dreadful start to the second half. Ivic gets a touch on it, can't quite keep it out. I thought there that our defender in Haxa might have stopped that one coming into the mixer from Vardiol, but unfortunately he didn't. Looked like he blocked that ball, but unfortunately it falls back to him. Wahi just gets that one past Ivic in goal, and very early in the second half our 1-0 lead disappears, and it is 1-1. And to be fair, based on stats, that's probably fair, but hopefully we still get a chance to make the most of that one-man advantage as they hopefully tie throughout the rest of this game. And now we have a throw in here not too long off the back of that goal, but thankfully off the back of losing it briefly, we get it back, and it somehow falls there to Daniel Cueto. Picks out Bushuari, who will put that one away for you. Might try and square that one for Amadori, but Bushuari is single-handedly at the moment keeping us in front in this game. He's now picked up 2 goals. Of course, had lots of help from Amadori for that first one, but thankfully it was not 1-1 for long. Nice ball there from Cueto, and Bushuari from a tight angle does beat Arnau Tinas and makes it 2-1 10 minutes into the second half, and hopefully we can hold on, albeit it is a highlight right off the back of the restart. It does feel like this one could be a very interesting game in the second round of the DFB Pokal. Good work that time from Haxa, but does lose out on it. Now Stanisic will get this ball down the right-hand side. Hopefully we can stop this attack and not concede an instant equaliser. Bushuari there does some good work, but can't quite keep it, and it nearly makes its way over the line. Goodness me, that was close, but thankfully we somehow keep that one out of the back of our net. Coming up to the hour mark, it is still 2-1 in our favour. Might be time for us here to check in on some player fitness, and as you can see, quite a few players are down to red heart, so I think we'll play things safe here and take those guys off. So Benedetti can come on for our star man in the midfield in Sebastian Escobar. Also Daniel Cueto down to a red heart. Imhand will come on for him. Bushuari is on a hat-trick. I think we might just leave him on, and hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us. Also, we'll just see if we need to adjust some of these opposition instructions, and indeed we do. And hopefully those subs as well as those adjustments do make sure we can hold on here inside the last half hour. Thankfully showing a lot more in the second half than we did in that first half. That first half was really disappointing, and now it is a free kick here to RB Leipzig. That one goes a lot closer than the one which was closer in the first half, but thankfully comes off the post. We do hold on to our 2-1 lead, about to make our way inside the last 15 minutes. Hopefully, before this highlight does take place, we can make some subs. Dorenzo down to a red heart. Bass can come on for him, and as well as that, we can take off Krasnicki or Chaiwa. I'm not too keen on Pinchin as a backup to Chaiwa. in that ball-winning midfield role. So I think we'll bring on Dibbling in place of Krasnicki with our final substitution. Yet again, I'm going to do some quick adjustments, and hopefully that might potentially stop this highlight from happening, and indeed it does. So good work there from me to stop that one, albeit only a few minutes later. It is a free kick here to RB, and Wahi does get in behind. Unfortunately, Ivizic doesn't quite come for that one, albeit he was offside. That was a bit of a waste of a highlight, but certainly made me worried there for a few minutes, and now might be a good time for us here to just start time wasting. Shouldn't really be something we need to do against 10 men, but RB Leipzig are still looking quite threatening, so hopefully that might just calm things down in these last 10 or so minutes, and we can hold on for a 2-1 win, which, to be fair, based on stats, is a bit undeserved, but obviously that red card has proven quite important. But RB Leipzig still with a chance here potentially to at least take this one to extra time. Espindola to still now Ram. Lots of chances here to put this one into the mixer, and somehow Wahi pokes that one home. Tom Gale and Bas have an absolute shocker there at the back, and we are bottling this royally here against 10 men of RB Leipzig. Should have dealt with that danger, even though it looked like around about here there was a big chance to put that one into Wahi, but I thought we recovered well. Somehow, though, he gets to that ball before Yuri Bas, who I'm really not sure of as a left back. He has struggled when we've used him in the past, albeit a highlight right off the back of that equaliser, and hopefully we can go back in front, albeit of course these days we are time wasting, haven't had a chance to turn that off. But Huxa starts to make his way forward down that right hand side, plays that one back to Chaiwa. He will play a nice 4-4 there to Dibbling, goes back to Dibbling, and he will get a chance to put it away, but it will fall to Amadori, who bundles it home, and thankfully we get our lead back. What a chaotic couple of moments there on the line down both ends, and Nicolo Amadori will score a goal, which hopefully will put us through to the third round of the DFB Pokal realm there. Should have dealt with the danger. Dibbling got a shot off, it came off the post, and thankfully Amadori was following that one up. And what a chaotic game this has been. He was definitely onside. Don't think we need to worry about this. We make our way inside the last couple of minutes of this game. 5 minutes of added time, which hopefully we can get through. Only 3 minutes left in this one now. Hopefully our guys can cling on, make sure this doesn't go to extra time. It will not. Thankfully, we do escape here with a 3-2 win, albeit certainly we're not at our best, albeit despite that, we actually ended up getting more shots on target. But Elyi Wahi proved to be an absolute thorn in our side. Was unlucky not to get a hat-trick in that game, really. But thankfully, we made the most of that red card halfway through the first half and do pick up a 3-2 win, albeit that was a lot closer than it probably should have been. But hopefully, with someone like Racine Bullock back for that second game of today's episode, that might just make sure we're a little bit more solid at the back. But that is a big win. The first time we take on RB Leipzig, we pick up a win, even though it is in the cup. That might put even more pressure on Ange Postecoglou, of course, below us on the table in the Bundesliga as well. We'll say that we stuck to our game plan, even though we had a fair bit of luck, it's fair to say, with that red card, and we're making our way through to the next round of the DFB Pokal. We win our first derby against RB Leipzig by 3-2. And only a few days off the back of that big 3-2 win over RB Leipzig in that second round of the DFB Pokal, heart rate's just come down off the back of that late goal to Amadori. Thankfully made the most of that red card. We are getting ready to take on Bayern Munich in the second game of today's episode. These guys in superb form. We're in danger, but hopefully we can pull off an upset like we did in that second round of the DFB Pokal last season. Certainly seems like we're doing a good job in the cup competitions here at Lokomotive Leipzig over the last couple of seasons, but in the league I think Bayern Munich might be taking this a little bit more seriously, and hopefully we can pull off an upset yet again, albeit this one is away from home, and unfortunately quite a few players aren't quite fit. It does mean we are rotating our team very heavily for this game. We've got Huxer at right back, Bas at left back, Benedetti and Pincher both in the midfield. We're actually going to try out Benedetti as the ball-winning midfielder. He's actually a bit better there than I thought he might be, and a decent height at 1.91 metres tall, quite similar to Racine Bullock, who unfortunately hasn't quite come right fully from that injury in time for this game. Krasnicki stays there, as does Cueto and Amadori, but a Tilgan for Bushuwari, the star man really, from that previous game. Unfortunately, he's not quite on a full green heart. Everyone else who comes out of the team are very injury prone, and also Luca Campanelli has recovered from an injury picked up in that previous game, but not very well. So Jay Zeminski comes up from our second team and makes his way onto the bench. Also, before we get stuck in to this next game, we have had the draw for that third round of the DFB Pokal. Might be one of the games we come back for at the start of next week off the back of the winter break. But we're going to be taking on Borussia Mönchengladbach, who we did draw against away from home not too long before the start of today's episode. So at home, that game might be a bit winnable for us. Hopefully, we can make our way through to the quarterfinals yet again. But let's see how we get on against Super Bayern Munich, especially with a lot of rotation. This one could be a bit of a bloodbath, especially considering off the back of a win, we usually suffer a defeat. That is not a good omen, especially against a team as in form and dangerous as this Bayern Munich one is. But hopefully we can at least put in a performance which just gives ourselves a little bit of merit in this game, even if we do suffer a defeat, which I am expecting, as I said, especially off the back of a win. We very rarely string them together here at Lokomotive Leipzig this season. Obviously, this is the toughest test in German football. We'll tell the guys that they can be nice and relaxed out there. No one expects us to get a result. There you can see lots of the players feel the pressure lifted. Hopefully, we can still put out a good performance. We'll tell them that we want to keep playing the way that we did in that previous game. It's nice to be scoring goals. And here are the team sheets for this one. There are Bayern Munich. It is a strong-looking team, certainly stronger than the lineup I think they put out against us in the DFB Pokal last season when we were down in the 2 Bundesliga. As you saw before, lots of changes for us. That might mean we're on a little bit of a hiding to nothing in this game. And to be fair, even if we do drop some points, hopefully those teams firmly inside that bottom 3 don't make up too much ground on us. Earlier in the season, Bayern Munich beat Bochum 8-0 at the stadium. So obviously, we might be in trouble of a similar scoreline, but I think we're a lot better than that Bochum team who did come up through a promotion playoff. Of course, we came up by winning the league, so hopefully we put up a bit more of a fight 15 minutes in, and the first highlight does start just shy of it. It is a corner. It goes over the top. That's not what we need. I think it's Comedia or Tilgan there who has pushed Evan Nielsen inside the box. I dare say this will be given as a penalty, and we can't afford to be doing that against a team like Bayern Munich. Hopefully Ivizic can step up here. Of course, I should have taken him out for that previous game and brought in Griffiths, as he was the cup goalkeeper. Unfortunately, can't save a penalty. Maybe that's a reason to drop him for that Gladbach game for the next round at the start of January. Griffiths not too happy about that, which is fair enough. Completely forgot about that. And to be fair, Ivizic didn't have too good a game, but Evan Nielsen steps up from the penalty spot and makes it 1-0 Bayern after 15 minutes. Not the way we want to start this one, especially against a team as good as the table toppers, giving them free gifts. Hopefully they give us one back, just in a bit of a kind reward off the back of us giving them a penalty as well. But it does look like here that Bayern Munich are not in a mood for charity. And Abada on the ball plays that one back to Kimmich. Nice ball over the top. And Diop now does get in behind. Can we shut him down? We can't. Sofawani Diop picks up his 5th goal of the season. And this could be a long night at the office with some of these players we have put out for this game. Abada played that one back to Kimmich. Simple ball over the top. We're just far too open there down our left-hand side. And Diop picks a little gap there in between the defender and that bottom left corner. Tucks it away. And we are 2-0 down coming up to the half-hour mark. We'll demand more. Not too sure if it's really the right thing to do, because obviously it is a game we are expecting to lose, and so far we've done very little. But better say the gegenpress not working as well as it did this time last season in this league game, albeit, as I said earlier, when looking at the team sheets, looks like Bayern Munich are taking this one a bit more seriously than they did the Cup, and already feels like we're going to be dropping points here, get again off the back of a prior win. We're going to make some changes here at halftime. Lots of players on yellow cards and also not doing too well out there. We'll take off Florian Haxa and bring on the young American in Jay Zeminski. Also Tom Gale struggling. Zane Monlouis can come on for him. Comedio's not doing too well either, but don't have a lot of centre-back options on the bench. We'll take off Benedetti. Hopefully Chaiwa can last the second half in this game, even though he is quite injury prone. And also Thibaut Clige for Amadoli on a yellow card. There'll be 4 subs used, and hopefully that might help us kick into gear a little bit more in the second half, but chances are it won't. We'll tell the guys that was not a good first half performance. Hopefully it might just get them to respond, but I dare say this could blow out quite a bit during the course of the second half. Early free kick to Bayern Munich. Thankfully, Caminio does come out and head that one away, but lots of Bayern players there to get them back on the attack. They are camped here inside of our half. Xavier plays that one forward for Mane. Diop gets in behind. It's a free kick. He was offside. I did feel like for a minute there that might get blown up for a penalty, but thankfully that is not the case. As we said earlier, that's the last thing we can afford to do, but so far in the second half, it's been going fairly well, but it would be nice to make our way down the other end of the field and actually do something ourselves in this game. We're going to make a sub now as well. Albin Krasnicki is down to a red heart and not doing too well. Tyler Dibling did kind of contribute to that winning goal in that previous game against RB Leipzig. He can come on with our final substitution. But fair to say it will probably be a case of too little too late, albeit we do have a free kick, but unfortunately we don't see it now. It's a free kick here to Bayern Munich, so thankfully we must have actually found our way down the end of the field briefly, but they start to make their way into our half. Goretzka there links up with Kimmich, but good work there from Tilgan tracking back to get that ball back for us, loops it for deep, but unfortunately we give it straight back to Manau. Bada does get in behind Ivizic, thankfully does come out to claim that one, and he does make his way towards the edge of the box, rolls that one out for Monlouis. Will pick out Pinchin, doing a decent job since coming into that deep lying playmaker role. That's poor from Monlouis, but thankfully this time Ivizic does come up with a save, boots it away for a corner, but Bayern Munich so far in this game well and truly on the front foot, as you would expect. The gegenpress this time doesn't seem to be doing quite as well as it did in the cup last season. Back on the attack off the back of us clearing that corner. We'll see if anything else happens. Good there from Tilgan to win the ball briefly. Goretzka, though, still has it outside the box. Back there to Tilgan. Will this highlight amount to anything? It doesn't look like it, albeit Cueto wins that ball back for us. He plays the ball forward. It gets intercepted. That was a bunch of nothing. Still down by 2-0. So far, we're getting through the second half rather respectfully, but unfortunately, never helped by that early penalty, which we did give away in Bayern here on the attack. Yet again, Caminio wins the ball nicely there inside the box, and we might get a chance here on the counter-attack. Cueto plays that one out to Dibling, who is, of course, off of the bench. Now Chaiwa just holds things up, but we are under severe pressure here, looking to play out from the back, but we eventually find Yuri Bas in quite a bit of space. Tries to do some footwork there, might not work against players of this quality, but Tilgan does get in behind. Nice ball forward there for Daniel Cueto, but unfortunately his shot does get blocked / saved, and it is taken out for a throw-in. That's our best chance so far. Still 2-0 down, but starting to show a bit more life in the latter stages of this game. Hopefully that does continue, and we do have a free kick here in our favour, albeit it is deep inside of our half, albeit it doesn't take us long here to get on the front foot. Osman Tilgan yet again at the heart of our good stuff. Unfortunately lose touch, but Yuri Bas plays that one forward for Tilgan. It falls to Dibling. Not too sure if he was offside. The referee there, the assistant far side, has gone back. I'm not too sure what the state of this one is. The goal is disallowed. That's unfortunate. Might have found a way there to get back in the game. Tyler Dibling does not grab his first goal of the season. It is because it's a Tilgan who is offside, so that is disappointing. That is the reason that goal does get chalked off. Thought it might be another reason. I thought it might be that Dibling was offside, so we're showing some life late in this game, but unfortunately it's a case of too little too late. We'll go attacking and see if that helps at all late in this game. If it does, that would be frustrating. Maybe should have tried that a little bit earlier. Dibling nearly gets the ball back for us there inside the box, but nice ball forward there for Bauer. He gets in behind our defence. Can they make it 3-0? We're going to have to clear this one off the line. Thankfully, Pincher does. Good work there from the former Nottingham Forest man to keep it at 2-0 as we enter 3 minutes here of added time. But fair to say, Bayern Munich have been far too good for us. I think we probably left all our energy in that previous game in the Cup against RB Leipzig, but we certainly had some chances in that second half to at least grab a goal back and make things interesting, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be, and we suffer a 2-0 defeat there to Bayern Munich away from home. Certainly not an unexpected result, but just a bit frustrating that we did give them an early chance to take the lead through a penalty. We'll tell the guys unlucky. It would have been nice to win, but wasn't meant to be, and thankfully that keeps the morale nice and high. Definitely being a bit kinder on these guys this season, seeing as we were predicted to finish bottom of the Bundesliga. We'll get through the post-match interview and see what the table does look like off the back of that one. We definitely won't drop in to the relegation zone. Apparently some interesting reactions there to us not bringing Bushuari off of the bench. That is because he probably wasn't in a condition to change the game. We wanted to rest him off the back of that cup game. But thankfully, it looks like unless Mainz pick up a result, we will still be 7 points clear of the relegation zone. And we're still above RB Leipzig off the back of that 2-0 defeat at Bayern Munich. And going forward a few clicks off the back of that 2-0 loss away at Bayern Munich, not a good result, but to be fair, it certainly could have been a lot worse. And as you can see, it could have been a lot worse because that gap back to those teams inside the relegation gap hasn't changed, till 7 points clear. And to be fair, we take on some of those teams down there in our next couple of games. Hopefully, now that we've got our scheduled loss out of the way, we can bounce back and actually string a couple of wins together and make our way up that table a little bit more before we come back for tomorrow's episode, which I think will be the last one before we do hit the winter break. But that will do it for today's episode. Good win in the cup over RB Leipzig, even though we did struggle against 10 men, only winning by 3-2. Off the back of that, a few tired players, and we do suffer a 2-0 defeat against Bayern Munich. Also, hopefully in tomorrow's episode, we'll have the likes of Racine Bullock back as well. That should certainly help. But if you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. As I said, tomorrow will probably be our last episode before we do hit the winter break. A few games to get through before then. Yet again, we take on RB Leipzig, but I think we might just show you guys highlights of that game or a recap off the back of playing them in today's episode, especially as that one is also at home. Before then, we also take on some teams who are below us in the league, and Hamburg and Bochum, both in that relegation zone. Those games do look like games we can pick up some big points from and hopefully get a bit more of a gap on those teams inside the relegation zone. And I think we'll come back either side of the end of November. We'll take on Eintracht Frankfurt, of course, our former senior affiliate in the save. Of course, these days not the case, seeing as we are up in the Bundesliga. Those guys in 6th at the moment. We'll see what they are all about. And off the back of that, we'll take on a Hoffenheim team, also inside of a European spot. So it could be two difficult games coming up in tomorrow's episode before the break against top 6 teams away from home. But hopefully, in between now and then, we can pick up some points against those teams below us on the Bundesliga table. So until tomorrow for that Eintracht Frankfurt Hoffenheim double, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, slept through the sadness. Don't know